In this video, we will see how we can get input from the user by using the JOptionPane class. In the previous video, we've seen how we can get input from the user using the scanner class as well as the systemoutPrintln methods. So just before I start with this one, you can see that I created a new project called Reading Input using JOptionPane. There's the package com.example.read.JOptionPane, and then the class name read JOptionPane. And then as part of the class, you can see that I've got the main method there. Now in this example, I'm going to do things a bit differently. I'm going to start off with asking for the name and the surname instead of asking for the first number and the second number. And so we'll do that example just after this part. So now in the JOptionPane part, if I want to ask the user now, please enter your name and please enter your surname, and I want to save that, I will do it as follows. I'm going to say JOptionPane there. So if you start typing JOptionPane, you'll see there it is. It's from the java.x.swing package where you can get the class JOptionPane. So I'm going to select that one. As soon as I select it, you can see that it adds an import statement at the top that makes that whole package available to me, which includes the JOptionPane class now. So I'm going to put the dot there, and the method I want to use there is the show input dialog. And you can see the show input dialog accepts text, and that's basically what I want to ask the user. So I'm going to ask the user, please enter your name. Now what this will do, I think I'm going to actually run this one to just make sure that we understand what this does now. You can see now it pops up this window where it asks the user, please enter your name. So now the user can enter his name or whatever you ask the user to enter in. He can choose cancel, and he can also choose OK. At this stage, it won't do anything at all because we haven't done anything with this name. So let's carry on with the rest of the program. So that's what the JOptionPane input dialog is doing. It pops up that little pop-up window that asks for please enter your name. So then the surname would again exactly the same thing. JOptionPane dot show input dialog. Again, we want to ask the user a question, and we're going to ask him this time, please enter your surname. And now his surname will then be saved into surname. So the thing about this show input dialog method, it returns text. In Java, we refer to text as a string. So basically, it returns a string back, and that's why we can save it into a string variable. Okay, so now at this stage, let's just print out something. Now, instead of saying systemoutPrintln, I can just use JOptionPane again by saying JOptionPane.show message dialog this time. So if you just want to show something to the user and not ask him a question where you can enter something, you just go with JOptionPane.show message dialog. Now, the first argument must be null there. And the second one is the text that you want to display to the user. So now this parent component that's null, later on when we work with graphical user interface, or when you can dig into graphical user interface a bit, the component there could be, for instance, a button on your user interface, which means that this message dialog will show above that button or directly onto that button basically. So by supplying null there, we're essentially saying this message must be displayed in the middle of the screen. So the message will be, and let's do the message as name plus a space plus surname. And then let's run this one quickly. Right, so it asks, please enter your name. I'm going to enter the name John. Okay, please enter your surname Rambo. Okay, and then it shows me the message John Rambo. Nice in a window type of interface. Okay, so now let's try the other one. We ask the user for two numbers and we work out the average. So it's going to be first number again and second number. Now let's do the same thing. We're going to say first number equals JOptionPane dot show input dialog, and we're going to ask the user the question, please enter the first number. But now you can see that this one gives us a problem now, because required as an integer, because we declared first number as an integer, this method is returning text, and we cannot save text into an integer variable. So there's some steps we need to follow now to convert whatever the user typed now to an integer so that we can save it back to this one. So let's do this one a bit different. I'm going to create a variable there for the string. So I'm going to call it input to get the input from the user. Now, instead of saying first number there, I'm going to use input. And you can see now, no problem at all, because it returns a string here, and I'm saving it in a variable called input, which is of type string. No problem. But now, how can I get that first number? So now I'm going to say first number equals. So what I want to do now is to convert whatever was saved in input now by the user, to convert that to an integer so that I can save it into first number. So now how do you convert it? If you want to convert from a string to integer, you're going to use the integer class, integer.parseInt. So it's one of these parse methods. And I'm going to say integer.parseInt, and I'm going to pass in the input that I got from the user as text. So the integer.parseInt method will take the input, convert the input to an integer, and then save it into first number. Let's say that this one was actually declared as a double. Then integer.parseInt should then be double.parseDouble. And then you indicate the string that you want to pass there. In this case, again, the input. Okay, so there's a few parse methods that you use with the specific class in order to convert from a string to that specific type. Right, so let's just change this one back again. I'm going to make that an integer again. And then this must be then integer.parseInt. And this method will then convert the input to an integer and save it back. Right, so now we're going to do exactly the same thing for the second number. I'm going to use input again equals JOptionPane dot show input dialog again. And this time I'm going to ask the user, please enter the second number. Okay, so now we can enter the second number. The second number is saved then as text into input, which is declared as a text. But now I want to have it as an integer. So I'm going to say second number equals, again, integer dot parseInt, which will convert that input for me to an integer. So the input is whatever the user typed. It's saved as a string, and that string we will take, convert it to an integer, and save it back into second number. So now we've got the first number and we've got the second number. Now let's work out the average. So it's going to be double average again equals, and now again the first number plus the second number, that answer divided by 2.0 to keep the decimal value, and that's the average. Now to display the average, we're going to do the exact same thing as we did there to display the name and the surname. So we're going to say JOptionPane dot show message dialog, first argument null, which means we're going to have that message pop up in the middle of the screen, and the second one is what our message will be. What do we want to say? So we're going to say there average, and then show whatever is stored in the average variable. So let's see if this one runs. Run this one quickly. It's going to ask us first for the name and the surname again. Let's say John again and Rambo. And then now to ask us, what's the first number? Let's put the 11 there. What's the second number? 20. And then the average will be 15.5. So now after these two videos, you know now how to get input from the user. And in this case, it's important to convert whatever input you got from the user, to convert it to the correct type so that you can pass it into the first number and the second number, in this case, as a specific integer, or then if you're using doubles, as doubles, or whatever type you're using. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.